All right, good morning, everyone. Ready to go here. I'm Martin Wenzel, and this is Microsoft Flight Simulator World Tour Flight 258, flying into every country and territory in the world, point to point, A, B, C. And last flight we flew from Nauru over to the Solomon Islands on Air Nauru, Flight 42. Today we are flying Solomon Islands from Honiara, Guadalcanal, Solomon Islands. Alpha Golf Golf Hotel, we're flying to Port Moresby, Papua Niugini, Alpha Yankee Papa Yankee. We're in the Boeing 738, the 737-800 from PMDG PMDG Simulations. We got about, looks like a 760 mile flight or so. I think the plan is about 800 something, 809, something like that, 806. So it'll be about a 2-hour flight. See all the tugs and everything out here ready to go. Let's get inside the plane. We're on Air Niugini, Flight 85. Once again in the 737-800. Alright, let's get in and get things going. Alright, I already have the payload fuel set up. We have enough fuel on board. We're going to jump up and do our safety inspection. And let's see if I remember all my... because I just flew the CRJ, so now I'm got all that set up. Okay, battery is on and covered. Electric hydraulic pumps are off. And landing gear lever is down in 3 green. Right there. Alright, we have ground power available. So we'll turn that on. Alright, and down. Right down here. Do our fire tests. So we're looking for the fault in op. Got the fault APU detect in op lights on. Test complete. Now we're looking for the fire overheat warning. Wheel well, engine 1, engine 2. All the extinguishers light up. Test complete. Alright, extinguisher test. 3 green. 3 green. Test complete. APU is ready to go. We're good on our fire test. We're going to go fuel pump aft 1 on. Give that a few seconds. Pressure light goes off. And APU on and start. Back to on. And the exhaust gas temperature, EGT, should start climbing. This light should extinguish. Alright. Flap lever is set to corresponding. Toggle this again. There we go. Back down, we'll look at the cargo fire system right here. Gonna hit that test button. 2 green. Got forward, aft, and discharge. That's complete. Manual gear extension access door. Again, trying to remember where my... there we go. There's the manual gear extension door. If we would need to, we'd pull these, and that would let gravity do the work to let the landing gears flop out and down. Obviously, I believe this is just to release the landing gear. I don't think have landing gear down. I don't think that you can bring them up with that. But I might be wrong. All right, flight recorder up top, way up here. Test. Do the airspeed warning test. Stall warning test. Number 2 for the first officer never seems to work, so I don't know what's going on there. While we're up here, let's hit test for the IRS. Go align. Whoop, align. Right, crew oxygen, we got 16 psi. 1600 psi. Passenger oxygen normal. EEC's on. Good green lights again. Flap the leading edge devices. Play. Service interphone. As required. GPS light. IRS mode selectors nav. Or line, and then we'll go to nav. Alright. Go down here. FMC. It. You can see it's enter IRS position, so we're going to put in Alpha Golf Golf Hotel. our airport. Copy down the position. Now that's in. Go back up top. Have. Alright, we should have the APU. Let's double check. Still isn't going. Try that again. Logo light on. We'll turn on the logo light right now. People, so they know we are an active plane. I'm going to put in our cruise elevation, which is going to be 36,000 feet. Still waiting on the APU. Not sure what is going on with that. Do have fuel. You should be coming up. Landing elevation 50. Alright, now that the way it's going, we might have to start the engines before we push back, because getting anything for the APU. Oh, there he goes. Finally triggers. Go back down. While the APU is cooling, we're gonna go into route. Origin and destination is Alpha Yankee Papa Yankee for Port Moresby, Jackson International Airport. Flight number 85. And we are looking at our flight clearance after a runway. Okay, we don't have any ATC here on the area. So our flight plan today, we do have the winds. We're going to be doing runway 6. Page will punch that in. Go up top again, do the APU. Gens on. Packs auto. Believe we use leave the isolation valve open right now. APU bleed on. Window heat on as well. Okay. Get the air conditioning going now. We'll get our flight plan in, and then we'll start the boarding process. Alright, so we have Gizo. Galco. Back to Damra. Hit activate. Execute. Departure arrival. Right, clicks are all off. Departure is runway 6, and we're going to be doing lots of departures. It's amazing how many departures there are here. We're doing day 1. Check the legs, make sure there's no discontinuity. There it is. Up. Execute. And we're gonna get GSX going here, board passenger, and get our baggage on.
Boarding requested.
Okay, back in here, we're going to go to the performance page. 0 fuel weight. Got our reserves. 4.8. Cost index of 16. Cruise 360. 6,000. And transition is 11,000.
Do you want to board crew? Passengers bus is coming.
Calculator.
Passengers boarding starting.
Alright, there come the passengers. Do a quick look. Here's the performance calculator, what's showing. And I'll bring that back up when we look. And let's get a little look at the passengers coming on board. We got time. Cargo's getting loaded the other way. The other side of me.
Passengers bus is coming. Passengers boarding starting.
Alright, let's keep going on with in our setup here. So here's a performance calculator. We're gonna go 26K right there, D rate, or the 26K right there. No flex takeoff temperature. Go over to takeoff flaps 10 today. Give a little bit shorter runway. That center of gravity in. Then our speeds. Plane always, it seems like the plane tends to give us just slightly different than what we have from the calculator. You see the calculator is 138, 139, and 149. Here we agree on 149, but these are a little bit higher. So we'll go with what the plane's giving us. It's within a knot, so not a huge deal. We can see that margin, 247. And this trim over here, this is a pretty low trim I've seen. Probably my lowest, at least I can remember. Alright, so that's all. We got that 50 for that landing altitude, and then we'll put this in for our engine rollback. Hey, Mika. Alright, so look at that trim. I go. Can't even go any further. Oh, there we go. doesn't let me do it on my. I can do it with my wheel, but I can't scroll it with my light stick. I got the number for that. Closer. There we go. All right, and go to page 2. Probably if I put that runway wind in. It's calm. Wind is calm. So 1100 here. All right. We are set to go. Most of the passengers have all boarded, so we'll get those doors closed. That would be on the door page. Looks like just a few more bags on the front loader. We're going to be departing there, Clancy. Yep. Ah, not a long one. Not like a. Not like in Monty Python. Ah. Castle. Ah. Alright, flight director's armed. We got the master switch on the captain's side. Alright, stabilizer trim set. Go up top here. Flight control, spoilers, all this is covered. Yaw damper on, navigation normal, normal, normal. Displays auto and normal. Engine valve closed and spar valve closed. Lights are dimmed. Crossfeed is off. Fuel pumps all on. Hydraulics on. Passenger signs on auto. Window heat on. Probe heat still off. Wing engine anti-ice off. Pressurization indicators check. Exterior lights as required. Ignition selection switch left or right. We're going to go left today. That's going to be the opposite direction. Engine start selectors off. Alright, pre-flight checklist. Oxygen tested 100%. Navigation transfer and display switches normal and auto. Window heat on. Pressurization mode selector auto. Flight instruments. Altimeter 1012. And our heading for our takeoff from runway 6 is going to be 59 degrees. And heading set. Flight instruments. Oh, wrong one. Parking brake set. Engine start levers cut off. Checklist complete. Double check the doors. Cargo doors are closed. So we are ready. Back. Start up. Anti-collision light on. Air condition packs. We'll keep those on until we're connected and everything, and then we'll
ready for pushback.
Turn those off for startup. Alright, before start checklist. Flight deck door closed and locked. Fuel. That much fuel. Okay. I have a fuel screen here. Fuel 11.4 kilos.
Departure checks completed.
Pumps on.
Bypass pin inserted.
Passenger signs auto. Windows locked. MCP V2. Got our V2 speed 149. Heading 59. Initial clearance will go 10,000 feet. Takeoff speeds V1 139. VR 140. V2 149. Hey Carol. Yeah. How you doing? Welcome in this morning.
Locking gear.
Alright, pre-flight completed. Rudder and aileron trim free and 0. Taxi and takeoff briefing completed. Anti-collision light on. Before start checklist complete. Okay, let's ground power. Get your APU gen on before you release that ground power. Alright, we are going to push back. We'll push back to the runway 6. Actually, right here on the close end. So push back to the right.
Release parking brakes, please.
Alright, wheel chocks removed. Parking brakes released.
Commencing push. All engines clear. Start at will.
Alright, packs off. And starting engine 2. Start valve open. Low oil pressure, but we have the start valve open. N1 is climbing. N2 is at 25%. We'll do the fuel cutoff to idle. Okay, you can stop pushing me. Stop. Push me all the way back.
Please set parking brakes.
Parking brake set.
Waiting your confirmation for a good engine start.
We do have a good engine start.
Cockpit to ground. We have a good engine start. You can disconnect.
Starting engine 1. Start valve open. Low oil pressure. N1 starting to come up. N2 coming up. See the oil pressure building. Fuel flow over here for the right engine.
Unlocking gear. Tow truck disconnected. Bypass pin removed. Left is clear. Right is clear.
Alright, engine 1 and 2 on. Gen 1, generator 1, generator 2. APU bleed. Generator 1 for power. APU bleed off. Packs auto. APU off. Right pin removed. And ground equipment is cleared. After start checklist, generators on, probe heat. On. Anti-ice, not required. Air conditioning, pressurization, pack switches, auto. Ignition valve switch. Or ignition. Isolation valve switch, auto. Engine bleed on, APU bleed off. APU off. Engine start selectors, continuous. Start levers, idle, detent. Flaps for takeoff. Going flaps 10 degrees today. Shorter runway. Alright, back to the checklist. Isolation valve auto, engine start switch is continuous, recall checked, auto brake, RTO, rejected takeoff. Flight controls. Check. Ground equipment cleared. Checklist complete. Our taxi clearance, no taxi clearance available. Our taxi lights and runway turn-off lights on. Transponder is set and standby. And we're ready to taxi. Gas on. Runway clear. Clear right. For takeoff checklist, flaps 10, green light, stabilizer trim 3.93 units. Auto throttle armed, engine start selectors continuous, landing lights on, strobe lights on, transponder Tara, weather radar. Honiara traffic, Air Niugini 85, clear for takeoff, runway 06, Air Niugini 85. Positive rate.
Positive rate of climb.
Gear up.
Flight level 360. Climb and maintain flight level 360. Niugini 85.
Autopilot set, landing gear off, brakes off. Maintain flight level 360. This autopilot. I always appreciate when the autopilot decides to just crap out like that. What is going on here? Decides to go over speed, doesn't want to climb, or climbs too fast, and so then it starts descending. Every once in a while I have a takeoff like that where it just, the autopilot it climbs way too fast. You know, we had auto throttle arm, we had all that stuff on, but it just somehow got stuck on speed. I think that might be what caused it. Alright, looks like we are stable now. Still rapidly climbing, but 3,000, we're at 250. Turn off the runway, turn off lights and taxi lights. We got a pretty stable climb here. We'll turn the seatbelt signs off. Standard pressure. Alright, so if you look at the flight plan, you can see it kind of on the map right here. Kind of go up to Gizo and then back down. Basically, Honiara and Port Moresby, if you look on a flat map, are straight lines. So, and there is a flight plan where we could have gone kind of in that straight shot. Actually, would have been about 10, 15 miles longer of a flight. So it's very interesting how this flight, it seems like it'd be longer than a straight shot, but it actually ends up being a few miles shorter. I'll pull up the flight chart. We didn't really do that. Take a look at our flight. We are currently on the standard instrument departure. Flying up, we're going to fly past the Russell Islands. Gizo, a part of the Solomon Island chain here. Then from Gizo, we'll cut across 408 miles to Calco, and we'll go over Papua New Guinea. And then in 113 miles to Damra. From Damra, we're going to have our standard terminal approach route, and then our arrival in Jackson, Port Moresby, Jackson. Now let's check out the weather. Let's see if there's anything going on weather-wise. Doesn't look. A little bit over Papua New Guinea. This is all before now, though. Not a lot going on the weather side. Really cool here. This is all available within Navigraphs now. I feel like we got air segments, MEDAR, turbulence, pretty useful. You can see the area of turbulence, icing, areas of icing. So we got areas of icing here. Okay. Interesting. Flight level 20. At flight level 220, so we might want to throw the anti-ice on just to be safe. Had that icing severity there. Reflectivity. Cloud cover. We're not seeing a lot of, well, you can see a little bit of it. And this is at flight level 340. We can see it at different levels. Temperature, drop a pause, convection cloud level top, high cloud top level, visibility, pressure, jet streams, wind barbs. So really a lot of information you can get up here in Navigraphs now with that little tab. I'm going to flip on the anti-ice since we did have icing severity on that chart, just to be safe. Flying over Avuvu. Then we'll be going over Vangunu and New Georgia. And then turning at the island of Gizo, headed to Papua New Guinea, crossing the Solomon Sea. Once we get to cruise, I'm gonna put on the time acceleration. We are in the Boeing, or the PMDG planes. PMDG planes for Microsoft Flight Simulator so far include this really nifty little control right here, the TC/SR. You click that up once, you get 2 times speed. Click again 4 times. Click it again 8 times. Click it again 16. I think it only goes up to 16. Could be wrong. And if you want to reset it back to regular time, just click down once and then you can adjust. It also lights it up, so 1 click will put us to 2 times. It'll be yellow, and then anything above that will be red. This plane is stable. You can go about 8 times and be very stable as long as as long as your frame rate isn't really crappy, which is really nice. If you want to do a really long flight in this plane, you can do an 8-hour flight in 1 hour with 8 times speed, which is really nice. I kind of mention this every time lately. Like with the fly-by-wire A321X, you can use the built-in Microsoft Flight Simulator time acceleration, but the fly-by-wire team has locked it that you can only go 2 times speed. So you're limited in that way. But that's because there's so much going on with the fly-by-wire plane, I guess, that if they let you go beyond that, your frames would dip too far and it would kill your experience. With the PMDG planes, you can get nice and stable. You can get a nice stable cruise, 8 times speed, so you can really do those long haul flights. I want to say the longest flight you're going to be doing in the 738 though is probably only 6 hours, but again, having that 8 times speed, you can get that done in about 45-50 minutes. And you can see above right now we got 1 hour 33 minutes. It's not a terribly long flight, but if I figure that out, that's going to get me to 9 o'clock, and I need to be done a little bit before 9. For a little bit busy morning here, so once we get to cruise, we'll tap that. In fact, I might tap it right now. You can always use time acceleration with the climb. I'm doing a really slow climb here. I'm not sure why. So let's put that time acceleration into practice. So we got 2 times. See how the clock is now moving along a little faster. We'll go. That climb is going faster, even though it's only 900 feet per minute. When you are using the time acceleration in the PMDG planes, it is also good practice, if you can, if you're at your computer, to turn it off before you get into turns. So we have a big turn coming up. We're gonna back off the time. It just helps the plane make the proper turn. Now we do have a little bit of adjustment. This shouldn't be a big deal right here, this one, but the Gizo one is a bigger one. You don't really have to. I wouldn't say you have to adjust it for like a little course adjustment like this, but a bigger turn, it will struggle with that. Especially if you're using, especially if you're using a program that's kind of sensitive to those readings, like bank angles and stuff, you might want to turn off your time acceleration when you go into turns. Otherwise, bad things could happen. So. Okay, so while we're climbing, I'm going to get onto my Navgraph charts. I'm just going to set up my arrival stuff. So. So, a lot more clouds starting to come into view. Really move a little bit north. You can see the plane took that turn fine. Not much of an adjustment, but a little bit bigger one coming up in about 8 minutes. 8 minutes, which will really only be 2 minutes for us since we're at 4 times speed. How quick that clock is. Minutes passing there, 15 seconds for a minute. Alright, so we're going to turn off that time acceleration just as we get to our top of the climb and we start making this turn. Turn that back on. We're at our cruise, 36,000 feet, or flight level 360 to be exact. Our standard pressure. Alright, you already see we have Calco and Damra are only 2 points remaining. Before we get too long, I'm just going to get this punched in our arrival. We're looking at arrival runway 14 left. We're going to do the ILS, so we have an ILS for this one, which is nice. And we're doing Ento 1 Alpha. Execute the legs, get rid of that discontinuity. It's all in there, along with the. I got discontinuity there. Okay. Yeah, last night I had some, you can see how we're kind of below that just because of the time acceleration. We're also losing speed, so we want to keep an eye on that, make sure that doesn't get too out of control. Not sure why. The auto throttle isn't keeping up for some reason. Again, that is something you got to be aware of when you're using time acceleration. Sometimes calculations aren't getting done properly. So yeah, last night I had some time. Dusted off Pilot's Life 2 with my Sky West career in the CRJ 700. Flew all the way from Houston to Amarillo, Texas, and on approach, suddenly all the CRJ screens, everything, all the graphics inside the CRJ just stopped working. I couldn't, and what was worse, and so I was like, okay, I have no guidance on how to get into the runway, so I just had to do everything completely visual, which is like, all right, had no problem with that. Problem is while the screens all got screwed up, every screen was screwed up, every screen was locked, couldn't do anything in the FMS, couldn't do anything on the displays, everything was messed up. Also, nothing would move. You couldn't see any of the graphics within, so you could hear the flaps moving. You could get the flaps to move. I could move my throttle outside the sim, my physical throttle, but it wasn't doing anything visually. Also, wasn't doing anything to the plane itself. Like literally nothing. The throttle and my rudder pedals were somehow had just, I don't know if they got disconnected, what happened, but they weren't working at all. I had the flight stick, I could trim, and so I hit the runway pretty fast speed, ended up bouncing like 20, it just was a disaster. So that flight, we didn't count that for the pilot's life, and that was kind of a waste of 2 hours, which is really disappointing because I was enjoying. It was nice to get back into the CRJ, but of course it didn't want to cooperate. Right. You can see Calco is about, what is that, 30 minutes away, which is, what, 7 minutes? Not that long at all. Really short flight. When we go with this acceleration, with this time acceleration, once we get to our top of descent, we'll come in at regular time, which will be about 20-25 hours. If you run in the same situation next time, just turn off the NAN of VG in the experimentals. I don't even know if that's on. Huh. Yeah, I don't know. It was weird because basically I had to do a go around because for some reason there was on my approach, there was a random waypoint that took me off my final approach. I deleted it out of the thing, but I think what happened is I forgot to execute it, so it didn't actually delete it. So I'm on short final, and I'm way to the right of the runway, way off. There's no way I'm going to be able to correct it, so I just go, okay, Michigan go around, get up climbing, and get things set. And then at this point, I think at that point, I'm trying to mess with the FMS, and then somewhere in there, I suddenly don't have any control over the throttle. I'm just fighting to keep the plane from going to a steep climb. And the FMS isn't responding. Nothing's, like, none of the screens are responding. Like my, call this, the artificial horizon. Artificial horizon was completely pointless. It was kind of crooked because it just crapped out when I was at a little bit of a bank. So I had no idea. It was all visual. I could not use my instruments at all. And then I had no control over my throttle either, so it was really weird. Yeah, the problem was yeah, it's like, I guess, yeah, if I had gone out and on that setting, maybe that would have worked. So I'll have to pay attention to that. All right, fuel pumps, center fuel pumps off. But it was, yeah, it was wild because it was like, thanks. I mean, once I got to the point where it's like I realized I couldn't do anything with my FMS, couldn't do it, like my panels, all my instruments were dead and useless. I was like, okay, we'll fly this in. It'll all be visual, and we'll just have to keep an eye on it. We'll feather it, we'll work on that throttle, trims and everything. And then I realized, yeah, my engines aren't spooling at all. I'm not losing, like I go cut back complete idle and nothing's changing with that engine sound. Go to full, nothing's changing. It's just stuck wherever it got stuck. And so this is gonna be a really difficult landing, and it was. I was not able to land it. I don't know what you would do in that situation. I don't think I could have turned off the engines. I didn't try to turn off the engines. I don't know if it would have done anything. Yeah, I'm glad I wasn't streaming because I would have probably lost my crap on that. It was bad enough. And of course it was, you know, like having to do the go around. It was that perfect timing. My wife and son, they were out, and so I had time to fly. And then just as I'm coming in for landing, that's when they come home, and now I got to deal with that. And then I have to deal, it's like, okay, just give me 10 minutes so I can land. And now it's going to turn into a half an hour because I got to do the go around. And now, okay, nothing's working. Now I'm frustrated, and I can feel my wife's glare. Like, come on, let's go. So that was kind of frustrating. All right, so you can see we're just burning through this flight. In some ways, it kind of takes away some of the fun of the flight, that relaxing going over the ocean. But at the same time, it lets us kind of zip through and get to the more exciting parts of the flight. Cruise is nice when there's stuff to look at. I mean, you can see the ocean. Ooh, what island is that? That is Woodlark Island. That's a really flat island too. We're gonna be coming up on Papua New Guinea really quick. As I said, once we get to that close to that top of descent, we'll jump back into real time and thanks, Icebird. Yeah, I'll have to, next time if I run into something like that, I'll give that a try. It was weird because it wasn't, I've been running in, and that's the weird thing is I've run into had a number of issues with things breaking in the sim, which I haven't experienced in, I can't remember how long. Now granted, maybe I'm just not remembering, but I remember when we first, like early on in the sim, you'd go outside into like your drone camera, right? Go into the drone camera, do some drone camera work, and then you'd come back in the cockpit and the cockpit textures were all gone, right? Remember that? Where just it wasn't loading in the cockpit. It looked like the photo gen that wasn't being loaded in properly. And you're like, oh great, now I can't fly. I think there was a few fixes. I think there was at least one fix that you could do for that where you just hop in and out and eventually would reset something. I can't remember what we had to do. And I haven't run into that for months. And then last month I run into it, I think, twice on a couple. I don't think it's been permanent. I think we worked our way out, or it was like right when I started the flight, or it was early on, so I was able to just restart and then quickly reset everything and go. And I haven't had too many issues with panels not working and FMSs getting locked up or anything. We did have in the ATR, had a problem with the EFB getting locked up and then release the wheel. We couldn't get rid of the wheel chock, so we couldn't push back or do anything, and so I had to restart the flight. But yeah, this was so weird because every screen was broken. Like everything, all the instruments were broken. Clock was stopped. Couldn't do, I mean, if you couldn't, nothing moved. I feel like there were certain things I could press in the cockpit that would work still, but certain things would work. But basically, throttle would not move. Partly, I don't know if it was graphically wasn't moving or literally wasn't moving because I couldn't control the throttle. My external throttle wouldn't work. So somehow that got disconnected. My rudder pedals did not move. Again, those two things were not even graphical either because I think my flaps, I was able to move my flaps, but the flap lever, you couldn't see, graphically it wouldn't move, but if you went outside the plane, you could see the flaps had moved. Right? The instrument did not show the flaps. Everything in here was kind of dead and frozen, which obviously now we can't use the instruments. Can't rely on the instruments. Can't use the FMS. Can't use the artificial horizon. You got to be looking out the window and flying it. And that's what I was doing. I'm like, okay, this will be interesting. This will be kind of a way to get in. But nope. Had no control over the throttle, and it's really hard to land when you don't have control over the throttle. And again, I didn't try to turn off the engines. I don't know if it would have done anything. I don't think I could have even... I don't think it did, because even when I got down on the runway, I had no way to... I figured, okay, no. I guess maybe probably once I got on the runway and stopped, can't really do anything because technically you're dead, because we did basically just crash. Nano VG mode, this option will change the way XML gauges are rendered by the simulation. Okay. Switching from the Windows GDI render engine to Nano VG, which is the default on Xbox. I'll have to check that. Well, maybe we shouldn't even have that on. I mean, did we have Nano VG on? If we're on the PC, should we even have that experimental thing on? I didn't even, yeah. It's been so long since I've been in the experimental settings. But that's good to know. No? Possibly something just to turn off. I mean, is there a benefit to it for us PC? You know, does it help us with the rendering better or something? As we get over tip here of Papua New Guinea, the eastern tip, little tail. I love it when there's clouds like this. Like where you can see the ground, but you're also got the clouds giving that real sense of volume, that those volumetric clouds there. I don't love it. I don't like it when it's completely overcast. I can't see the ground. It's a little boring when it's completely clear. Oh, beautiful flight today with these clouds over Papua New Guinea. This option is included to permit you to test that your XML gauges render correctly when the package is installed on Xbox. Okay, so probably we don't need it. Yeah, we should turn that off. I mean, if you're not working on stuff to release to the world, which I'm not. Should see little difference between the two render formats. Worth noting that in the future, Nano VG will be the default renderer. Ah, okay. I suppose. But again, the testing of my gauges, I would think that, oh, it's worthwhile testing if you're not even planning on, yeah. Again, it's a thing for developers more so than just flying. So it's probably something I could just turn off because I don't need it, and looks like it'll cause more problems than it's worth. Again, it's a testing thing, so it's something that I would want on if I was testing a package. I want to find out, hey, yeah, is this gonna crap out if someone's got this on? But I don't know. I haven't checked. I will check. I don't, you know, if it's not default on, I don't know why I would have had it on, but it could have been something I just turned on because, well, it's experiment things. I don't know. But I'll go check that afterwards, make sure. All right, we're coming up on the top of the descent really quick. Yeah, that flight went really fast. But we got some plans this morning, and I'd rather not be messing around with trying to land and end this stream. And wife is again looking at me going, "Come on, what are we doing? Nothing to do." So we should be landed and everything by 8:15, I would think. Top descent coming. Absolutely beautiful. Alright, we're at top of descent. Sorry, I should put this on a little sooner. We're at top of descent. We're gonna go and not sure what ATC is doing. The plane is pulling back on the speed because we should be descending. Throttle is pulled back. We should be descending if we had followed the VNAV. So we're a little bit behind. Try to catch up and belt signs on. The calculator is giving us a flaps 30. Landing altitude 150. On our way into NTOG, start of our standard terminal approach route. Vertical speed here to catch up to our diamond. A little bit behind. Let's check out our approach. So we're flying over to NTOG and then our start of our arrival. Start, max speed 250 knots below 2,000. Arrival for runway 14 left, right, 114 left. Airport elevation 129. Right there, that elevation, 14,300 feet. We're only should be turned and avoiding that before we get down that point. Keep an eye on that. The NTOG 13,000, so I'm going to clear that all the way down to 13. 11,000, 8,000, 4,000, 3,000, 2,900 into our approach plate. ILS runway 14 left for Port Moresby. Final approach course 142 degrees. So let's punch that in on our course knobs. Back in on here. We're going to capture the glide slope at 1,400 feet. Our decision altitude is 450 feet. Decision height, barrel 450. Airport elevation again 129. Runway is 103 feet. Missed approach, we're going to climb on the final approach course 142. Dead reckoning track to 1,500 feet. Then, unless otherwise directed by ATC, turn right onto 322 degrees dead reckoning track. Continue climb to 2,500 at or beyond 9 miles out from the VOR. Papa Yankee, turn right for pilot intercept of 142, localize your track and hold at 9 miles out. So you see the visual map. And our cross section right here, 2,500 feet. We're going to begin. We have our, let's say we capture the slope right there, but got a couple fixed points. High slope actually right there. Right, ILS is 110.1. Got the older 1101 01. VOR is 117. So between Antog and Dovlu, we want to be at 13,000. We're not going to make that, it looks like, but keep our working our way down. 11,000 in between Dovlu and Vud. Clear down there. Not sure what ATC is doing. Why we're not getting approach. They have it. I don't know why it's not interacting with it. Again, there's not much I can do to interact with the ATC, with FS HUD ATC. It's not like what Beyond ATC is going to give us, or VATSIM, where we talk to ATC actually with our voice and tune and should communicate with us. Right. Anti-ice on above 10 degrees. I'm going to keep that anti-ice on though, with all this cloud. Actually, it's above 10 degrees, right? I'm not going to need it. Not going to need it, so turn that off. Right, descent checklist. Pressurization, landing altitude 150. Recall checked, auto brake. I have this on my calculator. Yeah. Then we'll go auto brake. 2 will be mission. landing data, VREF 147, flaps 30, minimums 450. Ooh, transition altitude is 20,000 feet for her pressure. Wow. I guess that makes sense since we're so, the altitude higher here, or the land level. Pressure here is 1014. Unlimited visibility, ceiling 5,000 feet, broken clouds at 5,000 feet. 15 knot winds that coming from 150 degrees, so right down the runway. We're coming in runway 14, so nice 15 knot headwind. Broken clouds, 25 degrees Celsius VFR conditions. Another thing with that CRJ flight, that SkyWest flight I did last night on A Pilot's Life, for some reason, my flight plan and the FS-HUD ATC, actually my flight plan was different. FS-HUD ATC kept insisting on having me land on runway 22 in Amarillo, except that would give me a crosswind of like 20 knots, whereas if I landed on my sim brief plan, I'd have a nice headwind of 20 knots. So it was really weird why it kept insisting, because usually FS-HUD ATC, basically you just tell it where, you know, you can set it and say, hey, follow my sim brief, and it will do that regardless of what the weather is. And so you kind of have to pay attention to the weather, make sure it's right. Alright, so we're gonna start backing out of this then. Lead off our speed. VNAV is thing on 57 when we need to slow down 250. Here, retractable landing lights coming out. I love these turning shots with the wing. Beautiful. Got Port Moresby right there. The airport, runway 32.
Niugini A5.
There we go.
Radar contact. Turn right heading
ATC working.
015. Descend 1,400. QNH 1014. Right heading 015. Descend 1,400. Niugini 85. Niugini A5. Expect ILS. Approach. Runway 14 left. Expect ILS. Approach. Runway 14 left. Niugini 85.
Like how it wants me to cut off right through here. It's like, how do you expect me to lose all that altitude?
Right heading 030, Niugini 85.
Actually, it was kind of nice when we didn't hear the ATC, because now they're just going to try to vector me in like 2 feet in front of the runway, and it's like, I'm pretty sure I need to bleed off a lot of speed, and I got to get this altitude down.
Niugini 85, turn right heading 050. Right heading 050, Niugini 85. Niugini 85, turn right heading 255. Right heading 355, Niugini 85. Niugini 85, turn right heading 005. Right heading 005, Niugini 85. Niugini 85, turn right heading 020. Right heading 020, Niugini 85. Niugini 85, turn right heading 040. Right heading 040, Niugini 85. Niugini 85, turn right heading 065. Right heading 065, Niugini 85. Niugini 85, turn right heading 070. Right heading 070, Niugini 85. Niugini 85, turn right heading 080. Right heading 080, Niugini 85. Niugini 85, turn right heading 085. Right heading 085, Niugini 85. Niugini 85, turn right heading 090. Right heading 090, Niugini 85. Niugini 85, turn right heading 095, cleared AOS, approach at 1,400, runway 14 left, report established on localizer. Right heading 095, cleared ILS, approach at 1,400, runway 14 left, report established on localizer, Niugini 85.
Landing gear down. Flaps 1. Landing checklist down to the flaps. Engine start switches, continuous, speed brake, armed, landing gear down. Flaps 2. Flaps 3. Or flaps 5, sorry. Flaps 3. Oh my goodness. 5-degree flaps. Flaps 10. Flaps 15. Flaps 25. Glide slope captured. Flaps 30. Speed brake arm. Alright, we do have runway 14 left. There's a runway on the right. That's all. Only a 1,300 meter runway. Make sure we don't land on that one. We are coming in with the ILS, so we should.
Niugini 85 established on localizer.
Yep. You see a smaller runway there.
Niugini
Terminal over
85,
here.
Contact Jackson's Tower 118.1.
Not sure what's going on here.
118.1 Niugini 85.
Yeah, we're established on localizer.
Jackson's Tower, Niugini 85, on final, 14 left. Niugini 85, wind 144 degrees at 15 knots, cleared to land, 14 left. Cleared to land, 14 left, Niugini 85.
Complete landing checklist. Flaps 30.
1,000.
Green light. Autopilot disconnect.
Approaching minimums. Minimums.
Continue.
$100. 50. 30. 20. 10.
Niugini 85, wind vacated, contact ground 121.7. Wind vacated,
Reversers.
contact ground 121.7, Niugini 85.
Shoot, that was the last exit. Dang it. Alright, should have used a little bit higher auto brake, I guess. Air flaps retracting. Auto brake off. Flight director's off. Start. I always have trouble turning lanes around on these little turnarounds. And we got a little bit of issue with terrain. I don't know if that's a result of the freeware airport upgrade. I'm guessing it is. You can see those two little not right. unfortunately. But let's get turned around. We're going to exit at a taxiway Mike.
Jackson's ground, Niugini 85, runway vacated with Mike. Niugini 85, taxi to gate 5 via Mike Lima Alpha Delta. Taxi to gate 5 via Mike Lima Alpha Delta, Niugini 85.
Mike and Lima at the same time. That's actually Lima right over there, but yeah. We're here to Alpha. I'm noticing a lot more just generic these planes popping up again. My livery's not showing up. I don't know what's going on with FSL, TL, and FSHUD ATC. I don't know if I have a setting wrong. But I've been noticing it more and more lately. Now, I'm thinking maybe that might... I'm looking here at other planes that are supposed to be in here, and there's nothing at this airport, which is surprising me. Being injected, so that might just be built into the airport, which I hate it when people do that. If you're gonna put a plane stationed at the airport, either put a blank livery or the proper livery for what would be parked at this airport. Is there a setting to turn off static planes? I don't have anything set up on... Yeah, I have nothing in sim set up to have parked planes or anything. I do have parked planes set for FSHUD ATC, but that will usually... That's supposed to use external sources for livery. And like I said, maybe I got a setting wrong now, because FSHUD ATC had a major update, and since then... I need to kind of look and see what I got wrong, because when I was in Houston yesterday, I had for some reason it's like the 747s. They're just injecting a ton of 747s, but they're the generic, you know, the generic livery for the 747. And like, I love to see 747s, but show me them with the proper liveries. Don't show me a generic one. Right, looking for gate 5. 1, 2, 3. I guess we don't get a gate. Now let's see where. Does that? That's that one? No, that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, yeah. There's gate 1, because that's 3, that's 4, and that's 5. Or what happened to gate 1, or if that's... Because there is a gate 1 on the chart. That's kind of the problem. Parts don't always match what you have in Sim. Especially if it's free. Really weird markings here. Parking brake set. Lights off. Gen. Engines down. Pumps off. Dock set, ground power. Passenger signs. Ground power on. Heat off. Isolation valve opened. Q off. Probes off. Power damper off, and let's begin our deboarding process.
The boarding requested.
Let's take a look at Valanta, see how this flight was. First person to arrive in Niugini today, or Port Moresby. Alright, so this is our flight time, real time. Took us an hour and 1 minute to fly the flight. Sim time though, 2 hours and 3 minutes for that flight, so we shaved off an hour or 2. Hey Bell, 2 hours and 14 minutes for block time versus 117 reality. And landing rate native 268.83, so a little firm, could be better. 869 miles in total. Fuel burn just under 6,000 kilos. 141 passengers, landing speed 127. A little bit slow, but decent landing overall. Alright. Get the passengers getting off. I see them. Hide. All right. take a look at the world tour map. Everywhere we've been so far on this world tour. And let's go down here to Papua New Guinea. There we go, Papua New Guinea. Next flight, we are flying up to Palu. See if we can see where that is. Oh, way over there. There's Palu. There's that little island. We'll be flying northwest over to Palu. And I believe from Palu we're headed up to Guam. I might be wrong about that, so pay attention where we're going. But going to Palu next. We'll be on the 738. I believe Air Niugini once again for that. Yep, Air Niugini, Flight 6. The flight in real life is flown in the Boeing 760, or yeah, the 763, the 767-300. We don't have that plane here for Microsoft Flight Simulator, so we're going to do it in the 737-800 once again. Air Niugini. Yeah, the passengers are a little bit too tall. Not perfect. But it's kind of cool to have them there. I don't know if you guys saw anything about the new... Yep, Palu is next stream, right? I don't know if you've seen anything. FS to Crew has added an animated co-pilot for... that will, when you're going through the flows, when it's doing everything, when the co-pilot is doing things, they'll actually touching the knobs, doing the throttle, all that stuff. Which is really cool addition. Costs $15 though, so I don't think I'm going to get it, but if you are interested in something like that, really cool. It's only for the fly-by-wire A32NX. You do need to have the FS to Crew package for the fly-by-wire A32NX as well, which is another $15 probably. But again, it just adds that level of immersion where you have a co-pilot, a first officer who's doing things, doing his flows, and you're able to do your flows, and that division of labor versus, you know, as you see when I fly on this plane, or most planes except for the A32NX, I'm having to do everything. Alright, well that's it for the flight. Thank you for coming along. Let's get outside the plane here. Again, we got a few issues with terrain. Not the best freeware upgrade for this airport, but it's, I think, way better than what it would have been just generic. So, don't mind those crazy elevation plateaus right there. Alright, thanks for coming along. I will see you Saturday morning at the usual time, 7 in the morning. I believe that's 1200 Zulu time, Greenwich Mean Time. So until then, happy flying, take care, and I'll see you then.